So I was busy looking at a video on why the earth is flat. Very convincing arguments. And, they used the whole boat going through the sea thing. And they were like, the reason why it disappears is because of perspective. And, if you get a telescope, you find out that it's still flat and all. Now, if you use that same analogy on someone's curved booty, that raises a lot of questions. And I'm not ready for my perspective on nice, big, round booty to be questioned. So let's start this podcast. Welcome to Break Time on Westside, your number one podcast coming to you from Nairobi, Kenya, courtesy of me, Sir Denver B, your one and only presenter. Now, last week was very, very fine. This time, there was a bit of good, there was a bit of bad. After the whole shooting at El Paso, there was the Daytona one that happened less than 24 hours later, which wasn't really good at all. It made the whole of the US and the world as well to start questioning the whole stand on gun control for the US, that is. The US has been forced to kind of rethink the whole gun control thing, because this whole thing of, I have rights to my Second Amendment, frankly, I think has started getting out of hand. And we have people who are getting access to weapons that they do not know how to use very well, and they act emotionally. But you know what? That's not the cream of our show today. So, kicking us off, Tanzania. Now, Tanzania just figured, let's make headlines this time. And they decided to do something that I would call Kenyan to some extent. A fuel tanker had an accident, crashed and all. And the residents around the area decided to do the most Kenyan thing possible. I think it's something that a lot of other people from different countries would do. But since I'm Kenyan, I have to speak from the perspective of someone who's seen it happen a lot in Kenya. They decided to go and siphon the fuel. Now, it's not a bad thing to, be an opportunist and go and chase opportunities, but there's a level of opportunistic behavior that is a bit too much. Now, a ton of them started grabbing as much fuel, filling their jerry cans, because on the plus side, they won't probably have to use the firewood. If they have generators, they'll probably keep them running. But when you think about it in the long term, it kind of works against the whole point of it, because fine, yes, you can try and sell it, but one, if you're trying to use it as an alternative to firewood, I'm guessing most of that oil burns really fast. And two, even if you put it for your generator, it could last you for a while, but it's still gonna get finished. But anyways, everyone loves things that are for free. Now, the unfortunate bit is that tanker caught fire, and as at now, 62 people have been killed in that tanker explosion. Now, I'm one of those people who likes to look back and say, you know what, that is your fault. You guys should probably be a lot nicer with this, and then step aside. But I'm going to try and take a different angle. I think people should stop being so spiteful, because a similar situation happened in Kenya many, many years ago. I'm not going to say too many, probably about 10, 14 years ago. And if you want proof, if you're ever around Kenya, just ask about, the Salga incident with the fuel tanker, the oil tanker. Yeah, oil tanker. It sparked a bit of a debate on how, it caught fire. And according to some sources, they say that, someone got pissed off, went, lit a match, dropped it there, caught fire, people got burned. And trust me, a lot of Kenyans died because one person may have been jealous. I'm not going to think with Tanzania. It's not entirely confirmed how the explosion happened, but you think about it and you ask yourself, fine, yes, it's not bad to chase for free things. Hell, Kenyans do that all the time, especially with alcohol and sometimes milk. Because for some reason, these are the trucks that usually overturn. I have never seen an exhauster carrying, sewage shit and all, overturning and people running that. Although then again, you can't run for shit. Pun intended. So you find that people go, they run for stuff, and people take it, the businesses do incur a bit of a loss. The distributor or the logistics company, I think, tends to cover that. But at the end of it, you kind of are forced to think, how jealous was someone if they may have been behind the explosion, if they caused an explosion that would have done that. How jealous is someone to actually get to a stage where they're like, if they die, they die. It's not a very good thing to do. And I wonder how some of those people sleep at night. Because I like to be a nice person. I like to pay attention. And I feel as though that wasn't the best thing that they could have done. If you want to go get fuel, work hard, make some more money and go buy yourself some oil. Don't go and steal some and try to sell it. That's not how we make money. Like, that's a short-term solution to a long-term problem. That's what I'm going to say. Moving it on. Now, South Korea, North Korea, and the US are having a love triangle battle that is going on. Now, North Korea has been, well, let me be more specific. Kim Jong Un has, kind of been trying to appear as a statesman, that he's a lot nicer. He's, giving a lot more speeches nowadays. He reached out to the US. He reached out to South Korea not too long ago. And it seemed like he was actually making some proper headway. But now, it's been said that he's starting to test a lot of, new military weaponry. He's been trying to push for some, new level machinery that's coming out. And apparently it's because Kim Jong Un is getting jealous because the US now is starting to work with South Korea. And they're telling South Korea, you know what, back off, US was with us first. And, these are matters that relate to Pyongyang, that is the capital city of North Korea, and the United States. You guys shouldn't mess with us, because the US has actually been doing a couple of drills there for about a week or two. And I don't know, I think this is a short person problem. I have nothing against short people. If you are short, you remain with your shortcomings. We do not blame you. It's just that we think that some of you are a little too emotional and you blame it on being short. I don't see why it is that people can't just coexist. Because I think Kim Jong Un was busy threatening like Cold War level shit. You're gonna feel the might, blah blah blah. You do not want to know the arsenal, because he's kind of trying to get leverage for the US, and these guys have tried to do nuclear talks and all, but they haven't really been going that far. So it kind of makes you question, why is it that he's being so ish about this whole thing? Yet he had started seeming like a pretty nice guy, to be honest. And it kind of gets to that level, it makes you question, why are some people just jealous as hell over nothing? I feel as though North Korea and South Korea can actually both benefit from having good ties with the US. Personally, I'm not the biggest fan of the US. Not because of Trump, but just because, they're the US. And there are some things that they do that we don't like. And, I still think they faked the moon landing. But, they are a superpower. And a lot of people do stand to gain from having good relations and signing a couple of good treaties with them. Although I think most of them shouldn't be nuclear ones. But anyways, that is pretty much that. I figured, let me get done with most of the political and not so nice news side of things. Now, I need to move on to something a little bit more interesting, especially for you tech people. The Samsung Note 10 is out. I'm going to repeat that. The Samsung Note 10 is out. And my word, is it a nice looking device. It is pretty. It still has that hole cut out in the display, but it's tinier compared to the rest of the body. It's really, really good looking. It retains roughly about the same size as, the S10, the S9. Like the screen to body ratio is at this point at about 90 something, probably about 93. Because it is, almost entirely all screen. It looks really, really good. That's the good part. Also comes with that new fast charging thing that guys with the new A series phones from Samsung were actually talking about, the 25 watt. And I'm hearing there's even a 45 watt dash charging that they have, which is good. It's good. There's no problem with that. We're all okay with it. Except for one thing. Y'all cannot be getting rid of the headphone jack. Too many companies are getting rid of the headphone jack, and I get it. You guys want to sell those Galaxy Buds that none of us will really give much of a damn about if we have, earphones to use. But there's some quality that you have to enjoy with actual earphones. There's some quality that wireless earphones just can't give you. And plus, wireless earphones die all the time. Regardless of whether they have an up to 12-hour, life plan, considering the carrying case also charges, it means that they can die, and that isn't the best thing ever. So they got rid of the headphone jack. That was like the most annoying thing for me. And I've been so on the whole, let the Note 10 come. It's going to be better. And these guys just played the nastiest trick on everyone that was expecting better. If they gave us an S10 with an S Pen, that would have been okay. But what they gave us was a Note 10, a Note 10 Plus, and a supposed Note 10 5G that will be coming along. Now, the Note 10 has a smaller battery. The Note 10 Plus has a much larger battery, like almost pretty much like 1,000 milliamp hours larger. If you guys don't know what 1,000 milliamp hours larger is, it's pretty much the difference between, how would I call it, a Nokia 3310 worth of a battery. I'm not going to say that it's that big of a difference for some, because power management can be managed well depending on the kind of features and hardware that's on your phone. But at the same time, you kind of look at it and you're like, did you really have to give these guys like a 3,400 milliamp hour battery and then a 4,300 milliamp hour battery? Fine, I get it. That works in the realm of, go and get the bigger one. But not everyone likes things big. And I'm not saying this for women. Size doesn't matter, at least for phones. Because when you have a 6.3 inch and a 6.8 inch screen, sometimes 6.8 is a bit too big. Because that was like phablet region back in the day. But anyways, that aside, let me stop ranting about, the battery sizes. The screen sizes, I've already mentioned, 6.3 inches versus 6.8. My issue comes in when you start thinking about the kind of resolution. These guys have maintained a quad HD resolution. That's like 1440p for all their flagship lineups for years. Like literally for years, these guys have maintained a quad HD setup. But for the Note 10, they dropped it to full HD plus, and they left quad HD for the Note 10 Plus. I do not know who it is that I'm supposed to show this middle finger to, but it's pointed somewhere. And it's not at me. It's at something around this room. But either way, it's very annoying when you do that, because it kind of ruins the whole resolution experience. For some of us powerhouse people who like the full package with everything full on, it feels a bit shortchanging. Especially considering that now they're selling the Note 10 Plus at a much higher price, and the Note 10 is just a smudge under 1,000. So those were the things that were annoying me about the Note 10. I feel as though it could have been better. They claimed that they didn't put the 3.5mm jack because of space, but I think Samsung is like the beast when it comes to innovation and space. They could have fitted that shit if they actually wanted to. That's the most BS excuse I've seen so far, considering that these guys have actually had massive batteries and still had a 3.5mm jack. If you guys want proof of that, go look for the S10 5G. It's an amazing, amazing phone. Also, storage options. One has 256 gigs max. The other one has 512. One has no expandable storage. The other one has expandable storage. Now, here's the funny thing. The one with 512 has expandable storage. The one with 256 has none. As in, there's a bit of stupidity that's going along. But anyways, you know what? I'm clearly showing you guys that I don't like the Note 10 very much. And honestly, at this point, I'd rather say, you know what? Much as I'm not much of a tech reviewer, I will say, in my opinion, go and get the Note 9. Or, if the S Pen isn't a big issue for you, go and get the S10 or the S9. Still amazing phones. I would rather get them over this Note 10. This Note 10 felt like it was just a letdown. The screen is amazing. It's pretty much almost bezel-less, but I just don't feel like it was that good of a tryout. It feels like they cut some corners and they shortchanged some people just so that they can supposedly give quote-unquote variety. Anyways, while I end this off, so that I don't sound like I'm ranting too much, there were some studies that were done in the US that showed that a lot of people nowadays go for dates not for the love of it or for the love of someone or for the caring of it, but mostly for food. As much as we used to call some of these dates booty calls, Netflix and chill and shit, nowadays there's a foodie call. Women, this is something that most of y'all have been doing. I am not even going to hide that. You guys call a guy, how about we do lunch, how about we do this? And as per most society cultures, they'll be like, you know what? The guy always pays the bill. So you'll end up going to get free food at a nice restaurant, and this guy will pay for everything. Or you go to his place, and he ends up paying for all the groceries and shit. Chances are he might even do the dishes himself. This, I feel, is not supposed to be happening. This is why whenever women start saying, you know what, we want equality, I agree. So that you guys can start sharing the bill. So that you guys can start incurring some of these costs and stop taking things for granted. Actually, now that it's been mentioned, I will tackle this whole foodie thing and foodie call once we do Battle of the Sexes. But anyways, my time is just about up. Get back to that work. Always be the process in that progress, or be the prevention. It has been me, Sir Denver B. I will see you guys later. Peace out.